So my name's Evangeline. My practice explores the intersection between pretty and ugly, the decorative and the feminine, and I basically try and make things that are so excessively pretty that they border on ugliness. So basically, this show I wanted to focus more on the intersection of like the decorative and art objects, particularly by parodying the idea of the art frame and making them into this almost comical, excessively ugly, pretty, fluffy, smelly item. But then also in terms of like where my art practice fit into the world, I felt very stuck. And so I spoke to a lot of people about what my art practice could talk about and what it could mean amongst everything that's happening in the world, and overwhelmingly the response was kind of people were seeking like an eyes forward mentality and some form of escapism. So I just ended up deciding that, you know, my work is already pretty and fun, but for this exhibition I might hype it up a little bit just to act as like, you know, a beacon of light and prettiness, like amongst a year that I think has been pretty shit. Yeah, so basically for a while I was doing really grand, big, colourful murals, and my idea was like, oh, it's so pretty and it like fills up the room so it becomes a bit nauseous. But then the medium of painting I always found up like ending looking too pretty. So basically by bringing in the very kitsch fur and the grotesque smells, particularly like I hate working with them in my studio. My studio stinks with all the bubble gum and the pineapple artificial smells. I thought this really is like pushing it into the more ugly kitsch aesthetic. I think one of my lecturers once said he was trying to hurt my feelings, but I ended up really liking it. He said that my work seemed like it was designed for people with short attention spans, and I was like, totally, yeah, that's it. I remember I was doing stuff with Pokemon for a while there that had featured. I think I was going to do a mural to begin with, and it was just a time thing. I think I continued to chip away at my practice, and then like a year after, things had just organically changed. And then there was a point where I was like, we were quarantining, so I was like, I can't make anything, so I just did like a series of drawings, so that was going to be the show. But then we came out of lockdown, so I was like, great, I can make big stuff again. So it's just yeah, lots of changes. I think, like a lot of Melburnians, I've learned not to have expectations and just kind of go with the punches, go with the flow a little bit, so that you don't get your heart broken, you don't get your hopes up. You just go, okay, I'm just going to keep working, live amongst the COVID normal, whatever's happening, and just can do what I can do, and that's how things are going to pan out. So I do a lot of drawing. That's what I'm classically trained in. So I have just like a huge archive of hundreds of drawings in my studio. And in terms of what they mean to me, I don't know. I don't tend to think about the subject matter a lot when I'm making it. I'll just make a massive pile, and then I'll go, well, this one speaks to like prettiness verging on ugly, and this one, and this one, and this one. And so then through that process, I've just developed a language. Like flowers tend to repeat a lot, like bubbly, rainbowy stripes tend to repeat a lot. And so like through the making, I can look back and go, oh, well, you know, I think the flowers mean like femininity and all the psychedelic waves. I think I'm really interested in like the 70s hippie movement. I love the aesthetic for that, what that meant, and yeah. So it's definitely a cool element, but I think the main thing is I find painting very boring. So I always need to push it in some way, whether that be making really big murals or making the murals kind of curve over walls, or right now making it a sensory experience that kind of expands into a different texture. I just think the canvas is so boring, so I need to push it in some way. So yeah, inadvertently I've ended up here, which is, yeah, like you said, I do like the element of the interaction. And I like the general expansive installation in like whatever form that takes. I think that they were just the ugliest thing You know what I mean? Like if I got into like essential oils and stuff, it started to smell too nice, like lavenders and stuff. I was like, this is too pleasant. Like the whole point is to make it a little gross. So next I have a show at Brunswick Street Gallery in August, which I'm very excited about. It's another solo, and I think what I've been doing is I've been collecting a bunch of doll houses. Like my studio looks very spooky right now. It's like just full of like children's toys. And so I wanted to try and explore the pandemic a little bit more. Like that was another part of it. I felt like I couldn't reflect on it because it was still happening. So I'm hoping as we come out of it a little bit more that I can think about it a little bit more and sit with what the actual effects were and like try and talk about like, you know, the home and doll houses and like what it means to be stuck inside and kind of bring my colourful, expansive sensory overload into like a smaller dollhouse and like mimic the sensation of being quarantined in that little space. And yes, I'm really excited. It should be good. It'll be a good show, I think. Just like this one.